Hello everyone, my name is CrawlinUK and today I'm here to show you Nobunaga's Ambition on the Nintendo Switch. This game is not in English. It's in English for PlayStation 4 and PC, but it's come out in Japan only on the Nintendo Switch, and I don't think there's any plans whatsoever to bring it to the West or in an English language for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to play through Nobunaga's Ambition, which is known as Nobunaga no Yabo in Japanese. The whole game is going to be in Japanese, so even though I can read some Japanese, this is kind of high level Japanese that I won't have a clue how to read or understand. So I'm going to kind of just feel my way through, or I'm just going to guess basically what needs to be done in this game. And to start off, I'm just going to have a quick look at the introduction here. It looks good here, but I have seen some of the screenshots and I know that it's not highly advanced, if you like. It's a strategy. It's a strategy game. I'm just going to load up a new game and I'm going to start a tutorial. Now when I first came to this screen, I was very perplexed because I almost can't read anything here except for the top one, which does say like for new stats or how to explain it, but for first time. Okay, and I did go for a tutorial in this game, which is this one at the top here. It says tutorial area. Oh, it doesn't say area. It says tutorial only. I had to look through some of the others and I could see that they're more advanced campaigns. I do know a bit about Oda Nobunaga, and from what I can see on the dates here, especially understanding the tutorial one, this is sometime either just after or around his father's death. So I'm assuming that this is going to be his initial raise to fame within the world. It is all based on real Japanese history, is the game. If it was in English language, we would probably learn a lot more than what I know. Okay, from what I can see here, it's zoomed into a location that I know now as Nagano. Not Nagano, it's Nagoya, sorry. This must be Nagoya Castle that we're starting. So here's the introduction, if you like. It's the speaking part, and I'm going to do my best just to skip through this, not to bore you with anything that we don't understand here. So this is a pre-recording of the gameplay. There was no way I could have actually played through it and give a commentary at the same time and try to understand what was going on and try to understand what I'm trying to read at the same time. And from what I remember, this first part, this first tutorial, I just got totally lost with it here. I mean, obviously I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who doesn't speak any Japanese at all, unless you know this game and you know what's expected of you. The quest, if you like, or the tutorial quest here is at the top, and it's preceded by a yellow star. I did not notice that for a good portion of this gameplay. And it took me probably 5 minutes at least to admit defeat and have a look online at someone playing the PlayStation 4 version, and just to see exactly what needed to be done here to proceed. But in the meantime, I was finding well, I was not finding. I was making myself familiar with the controls. I was. I'm going to assume that this is Nagoya Castle. This area is Nagoya. I assume that this is Nagoya Castle, unless it's one of the others. There's like 3 castles in this location, and I was able to look at the menus on the left-hand side. Everything on the Nintendo Switch controller did something, so you can't use one of the halves. You've got to use the full controller, both Joy-Cons, for this game. I was then able to select, as you can see here, the castle in the east, and no, I can't make out any of that. Yeah, so this castle in the east, and we can see that there's a different face for that castle, so it's someone else who is there. It looks like I could bring up the stats for a militia or settlers there, as well as many other statistics. Again, if it's in English, if I'd played the PlayStation 4 or PC version, this would have been a lot quicker and easier to grasp. The reason for me recording this video is just to show that you can't just go out there and buy every Nintendo Switch game and enjoy them without being able to read them. You put this game in and you are going to struggle straight away from the start unless you know what the game is or you know Japanese language. So I will just show you now around this land here. I was hoping that I was going to make some sort of attack at the beginning part here, but I found out that no, you don't need to make an attack just yet. There is an attack that happens. It was quite interesting to see. Now I remember what I was doing. I realized that this is where Tokyo is, so I wanted to see where Mount Fuji is, and the map's pretty accurate, so you can pick it out. It's just there in the distance. It's the tallest mountain, and I wanted to see it in this game. So I'm just going to skip forward through this gameplay now to actually completing, or actually partaking in, the mission that is supposed to be done as part of this beginning tutorial. So after watching a YouTube video, I saw that I had to select the scroll that keeps popping up on the left hand side. Obviously the YouTube video I watched was all in English. It was from the PS4 gameplay. Sorry, there's me just trying to get a close inspection of Mount Fuji. So yeah, I went back to the actual castles in the area, and there you can see it on the left hand side. There's like a scroll. It's the only one that you can highlight above other than the top option. What I needed to do is I needed to go down and select that, and then I could, I think it was like increasing my farming rate or increasing my production rate or something like that. And then once I'd done that, I just had to go into one of the, I don't know if they're the enemy or allies, but I had to go into one of their options and basically state, yes, I have done this increase. You can see on screen now I was there kind of twiddling the option. I didn't know exactly what I needed to do. I knew I had to increase something. I'd seen it on the video, but for whatever reason when I was doing it, it just wasn't letting it proceed to the second part of this tutorial. I'm just watching this video with you guys now that I've made myself, and I was just trying everything. The tutorial on YouTube that I watched, was someone just increasing something, and then it went on to the next part. They pressed a couple more buttons and then they were able to complete the tutorial part 1. I think there's about 3 or 4 parts to this tutorial, where then you have like a conversation with your aide or something, and there's it's like a conversation about the tutorial. So this was the exact spot here where I just kind of left the game and ran away to my PC to check on YouTube. One thing I've just remembered that came to my mind now, I did find the option beforehand to increase the farming or crop harvest or whatever it was I needed to do, and I had been twiddling with them. It was then when I saw the video on YouTube that someone did it and they'd advanced further in through the tutorial, and I was like, well, I've done that already. What have I done wrong? Why is mine not advancing? So that was then when I kind of twiddled the options on the castles and found a new option. There's me again, I'm just trying to find out why it's not working when I increase the production. There's a point here where you'll see it just kind of lets me do it finally. Because the scroll's showing up on the left hand side still, it means there's something that I haven't quite finished or I haven't quite done. I don't know if I just needed to wait. I don't even know if that was the reason at all. So I went away and came back. I couldn't see any changes with the options or with the settings here. Now, one thing to remember here is that this is almost like playing a game blindly. There's a couple of symbols here and there that are buttons to press. The majority of the game text is kanji, which is very hard to understand when you're only doing basic Japanese. If anyone out there thinks, oh well, I can learn Japanese and play these games, you'd have to learn Japanese for probably 5 or 6 years to be able to even understand this game a bit. So there it was. There I did some sort of check, and it let me speak with someone else. And finally, I had the bottom option on the left hand side, which kind of meant proceed with what I had done. A timer starts ticking in the top left hand side. I didn't know what it was, so I paused it and I was looking around to see if anything had changed on the screen, and nothing visually happens. You've just got to let that timer go all the way around, and once it gets up to say 100%, the tutorial's complete. The first part of the tutorial's complete. There are, like I say, about 3 or 4 parts, and they're not that long. This one seems long because it took me so long to understand. One thing I did learn is when they're giving the speech in between or at the beginning of the tutorial stages, they show brief screenshots of what you should be looking at, and during each tutorial that you play, you're only allowed to select the particular options. So it's kind of self-explanatory. The thing here that made me realize then it would be too difficult to play the real game is that there are so many options on the left hand side that you just wouldn't remember without being able to understand or read them, what they do, what they are, what they increase. And that was it. I completed the tutorial there, the first part. I'll have to keep saying it's the first part of the tutorial. Now, the next part I'm going to kind of leave it on especially at the parts where it shows you the screenshots. So this, when I say screenshots, this isn't the screenshot I'm talking about. This is just kind of an overview of what's happening. This is the screenshot I'm talking about. So whatever they're discussing at the bottom here, whatever the text says on screen, is referring to this in-game screenshot of what you should be doing. So I was taking a guess that I should be selecting a farm. It should have some sort of spider tree come out of it, and then from that I would need to proceed on to whatever the next screenshot showed me. It showed me nothing, so I assumed that it would be self-evident when I do it in the game. So here's the farms or settlements around the castle. You can only select particular ones. So when you go into this hammer like upgrade option, you can then select on the different chunks of farm. This was exactly the same as the screenshot from the tutorial, and it only has that yellow part highlighted there in the center, so that was the only one you could work on. Selected that. On the far left there is only one button that was white. All the rest of them were pretty much greyed out, so I selected that. The other greyed out ones you can have a look at. It actually just shows you what they look like when they upgrade. And then from that I could select, I'm assuming, some higher up person to oversee the upgrade process go ahead. And it was telling me how much manpower I needed, how much, I assume, money I needed, how many days it would take. And then you just said, do you want to go ahead and do this? And I selected yes. I'm just trying to remember what I did now. Okay, it seems when I first selected the options, it didn't work correctly for me. So it was there at the bottom that I chose a different option, ever so differently from the previous, and then it just let me proceed with the rest of this tutorial. Again, did the bottom option, and it came up with this timer in the top left hand side. One thing I didn't figure out until later, if not around about soon, is that you can speed it up just by pressing the button there. I just did it there, and it speeds it up to 3 times faster. And there we have it, the farm upgraded, and I completed that part of the tutorial. I'm not sure if this is the type of game I would really play even if it was in English for the Nintendo Switch. It's available on the PC, which means it would be a lot easier to use with a mouse and a keyboard. You can navigate the area a lot easier, a lot faster. I don't think I'd play it on the PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch. So here I was looking through the next part of the tutorial. I was just trying to pay attention to the screens this time. There seemed to be a few different ones. Well, obviously there was different ones. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get wrong what the task at hand was. But these tutorials are actually quite straightforward if you know where you're going with them. So this is kind of a an upgrade tree for the castle. There was only one option I could select out of all these 6. You could look at the other ones, which is kind of a nice feature, I guess. So I just progressed through each screen. I had a look at the options for each. I could see that this was kind of upgrading with regards to an extension of a garden maybe. This looked like it was the wall fortification, and it seemed like the only option I could choose for the upgrade. It was nice to see the final upgrade for the wall, what it would look like. So I chose the wall, and I chose the same person as before to do the upgrade, and I chose the right option for kind of proceeding with the said upgrade. And my speed up was still on at the top left. That's just me just stopping it for no reason at all. And upgrade was complete. Like I've said previously, some of these tutorials are fairly straightforward. To play the game you would need to know the language. To play the tutorial it's kind of spoon feeding you. It's saying you need to click this, you need to click that, and you've got no other options to choose from. So there I am. I'm going straight into the scroll option. I can only choose this person. I can only choose. I'm assuming they're archers of some sort. And it was always I had to remember to choose the tick option or the kind of proceed option. You can kind of guess from the little icons what they do. What I'm hoping is there is another Nintendo Switch game that's only in Japanese, and I think there's PlayStation 4 and PC versions of it, and that's the Romance of the Three Kingdoms 13. It's by the same company, and it's the same style gameplay. So I'm hoping that these two games are kind of identical. So when I do a gameplay of that one, I'll be able to just jump straight in, pull off a tutorial, see what the gameplay was like, and have over and done with it in no time. So I did the speed up as usual, and it said I had completed the quest. So I'm guessing there's more than I guessed, 3 or 4. After I managed to do the first tutorial, I kind of sped through the gameplay. It was fairly quick, but there was no chance I'm doing the main game in Japanese unless I actually can read any of it. So I could see here that I need to what's the word, kind of what do you call it? Call to arms, if you like. Get my men ready to go to war or defend. This is kind of the most exciting part of this game, that you have little battles in it. So there you can see the other castle to the east is either preparing or prepared a army to go to war against someone, either me or I assume it would be me. You can see that they've got an army ready. I'm going to guess there's 1,000 men to battle against. Right, so here it was. You select the castle, you select which infantry you want, and they poof appear in front of you. And that's when you can, I think you select them. I can't remember if you proceed and then it shows you what's going to happen next. Because that's their militia. We've just made ours. All I had left was to proceed for now, so I will just proceed and see what happens. Okay, so within like half of it they come rushing down the path, and they're at the intersection there. It's not even an intersection, it's just like a point in the road. So that's when I can select my men and choose to intercept their men. And there's an arrow indicating that I'm going to do that. And then there's some sort of conversation, either we're going to come and get you and beat you, you nasty people, and they're like, yeah, but we'll get you first. And then you've got this person who's with you saying, yes, I'll help you defeat them. And when you go into this battle, you see that you've got two armies that look like Tetris blocks. And you think Tetris. That's all I was thinking through most of this, until you actually zoomed in. It was kind of the system's way of saving memory, showing you Tetris blocks, and when you zoomed in you could see the characters fighting a lot more detailed. I'm following the tutorial on screen now just to kind of understand what I need to do, not understand what is being said. So, I guess here we go. Battle, maybe it says. I could select my people and choose the direction I wanted them to go in. And those lines that come from the box and end up at the end of my area is kind of the direction in which the arrows will go in. So I decided to kind of get close to the person who was with me, helping me to do this battle. And there we go. I'll show you the zoom in, that you can see all their all our people. And this was when I figured out, yeah, I'm controlling theirs as well. So I was controlling both parties of men. And there we go. It's a lot slower than a lot of other kind of strategy games I've played. Most of the time they have a speed up option, especially for these like long drawn out phases, and then you can slow it back down again when it gets into the nitty-gritty of the battle. So I moved close enough to be able to attack with arrows. They were having some sort of shouting match at each other. And then this is where it kind of expanded on the previous tutorial. I assume it was just telling me to move the troops and signal how to attack the enemy, and what happened if we got close enough. Some of these things may be straightforward to some people. It was difficult not knowing the language fully at this point. As you could see there was numbers kind of going up. I was firing arrows and obviously their people was depleting. I did some sort of special attack, which was just suddenly guns a-blazing. And they were doing arrows from her incoming, and she did some sort of special attack. And you can see that they've got 4,000 troops, and it's going down quite quickly. Then it was his turn. He did some sort of special attack. At this point I thought, well, that's it, I've won. But I was wrong. It was just kind of saying this is how special attacks are done and what happens when they are done. So he almost came just charging at me with all his people. You can see mine going down, but not as fast as what his were going down. I decided just to turn it around a bit, just so I'm aiming at them a bit better. I was trying more special moves. It It's a tutorial level, so I think it's kind of aimed like you should win this. Especially now he's outnumbered highly, and the numbers just went down so fast from 1,000 to 100 to victory for me. And that was it. For me, tutorial complete. He was, I assume, calling for defeat. Yep, so there we go. That's my people following my lead, saying go to that spot. And then once the timer gets to 100%, that's the end of the phase. I didn't really follow what it just asked me to do in the tutorial section there. So when the year had passed, which not the year, but when the time had passed, that screen came up and then it came back to here again, and all I could do was kind of proceed. So I was kind of like, well, was I supposed to do something there, or am I supposed to wait for something else to happen? And I think all it was that I had to move over to their castle and kind of claim the victory. Everything I'm assuming, but this is kind of what you visually saw happening in the game when I did it. So yeah, this is the kind of second part where I was like, right, I must have to do something now. I'll select my men, I'll move them over there, and then I'll speed up the time. There they go, outside the castle. It then told me to do something else and select something else with the Tetris block again. So that's what I did. Chose the Tetris block thing, pressed it, saw something, pressed it again, pressed it again. And then when I'd done it, the castle kind of had these ghosts and spirits and smoke coming off it, but that was the tutorial over at that point once that had happened. So then I chose the options for my army again, and I chose the option which I assumed was kind of to maybe take over the castle or retake the castle. It was like the castle icon with the arrow pointing back at itself. And again, I just sped up the turn and completed the tutorial. Did not know what I was doing most of the time. Enjoyed the battle between the armies, that was fun, but won't be coming back to this Nintendo Switch game unless they decide to make an English language version of it, which would be easier for me, or unless it's 2 years down the line from now and I feel that my Japanese is improved enough that I can play this game substantially. But I'm guessing by that time we'll have a lot more fun games, if not another version of this game or a Romance in the Three Kingdoms 14 probably come out. There you go, you saw the whirling ghosts come out, and pretty much that was it. You could see my portrait and the portrait of the generals that I was fighting. There seems to be people all along the path. Not sure what was happening, but that was the tutorial complete. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like down below. If it helps you, please let me know in the comments. If you bought the game and you just wanted to play a bit of it because you wanted to have it in your collection and you wanted to at least say you've played it, then just let me know in the comments. It's always nice to know these things. I will be doing other playthroughs of other Japanese games that have not come out in the UK, so subscribe to my channel for more of those, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.